knocked out last night. Woke up like maybe 12 o'clock today. And
Must be nice.
Must
be nice.
It was super nice.
All right, everybody, welcome to Hot Couch Potato. My name is Brent, aka Boo Up. I'm here with my man's Rick, aka Shy Tank 88. What's going on, Rick? We're gonna skip a lot of the usual stuff we do today. This was the week of T3, man. Rick was there for 3 whole days. I was only there for 2 days. Unfortunately, I couldn't get all the time I wanted off. But what was your experience like, man? Or what was the biggest thing? Let's just talk about that first. What was the biggest thing for you?
Oh, the biggest thing between all of us would be our Final Fantasy t-shirts that we got. Just thinking about that after beating that boss with 5 stranger dangers, thinking that I was literally thinking that we only had like a 10% chance of winning going in, because I was seeing so many people ahead of us failing, and there's only very few people actually beating the boss and getting their free t-shirts. But good thing we had Russ to help guide us, because he's been playing I think almost double the time that we've been playing, and he knew all of the roles, so he was good at teaching us, reminding us each roles, especially with you and your your Dragoon.
Never played a Dragoon ever in my life.
Yeah, exactly. And I was like, man, you're able to keep up with the DPS check in the middle of the stage. And luckily, we had a white mage dressed up as a white mage.
Yeah.
So we knew our chances of winning was pretty high.
Yeah, it was amazing. And to clarify, there was a challenge at the Square Enix booth where you had to fight a Primal. It's a boss, essentially, with 8 other people. It's a boss that's part of the new expansion, Stormblood, that came out today. And if you beat that boss, you got a t-shirt that says, I beat the boss. It's called Susanoo. I think, is that how you pronounce it? Or Susano?
I think it's Susano.
Okay, because there's only one.
According to my Japanese.
We'll follow that then. So you get a t-shirt that says, I beat Susano. So as Rick said, there was only 3 of us. It was me, Rick, and Russ. So fortunately, the people that were running the area, the Square people, they thought ahead and were asking around for, is there 5 more people that can group up with these 3? And I think that was the biggest blessing to us, was there was a guy cosplaying as a white mage who was able to play as a white mage for us.
Yeah.
I think that's the biggest thing I was worried about, is would we have a healer? And fortunately, it all kind of lined up because we had 2.
Yeah. And we thought that, if he played a joke dressed up as a white mage and he was suddenly playing a DPS or a tank, then that would have messed up our flow. But good thing everybody had their roles and knew what they were doing, because I was worried that other people would be tanks, but because I only know how to play tank. I haven't really played with any of the classes. So luckily there was only 2 of us that knew how to play tank, and they needed 2 tanks. And it was funny too, because we were the only 2 that played with the controller.
I saw that. Yeah, everyone else was on mouse and keyboard. It was on PC, but they did have controllers set out for people who were more acclimated to that. So that was funny that both of the tanks we had used a controller, and it did, huh? It kind of worked out perfectly. You and that one guy had tanks, 2 guys were designated healers, and the rest of us were fine with doing DPS. We split it up, 2 ranged, 2 melee DPS. So we really couldn't have asked for a more perfect attempt at that, huh?
Yeah, but the only thing that we only had 5 minutes of prep time to key bind all of our keys and skills to the keyboard or controller. And I remember I was like panicking. I couldn't find the menu to rearrange the actions on my controller until like the last minute. And then when we started the match, it turns out all of my buttons were mixed up. So like if you press X, it was pressing A, and you press A, you're pressing like Y or something like that. And I just remember just pressing every single button, just hoping I can contain the aggro, and it was really tough at that point.
Yeah, because it was a PC controller, right? It wasn't a PlayStation controller like you're used to. So
yeah, like, and you would think though, like it was, X would match with X, but whoever was playing previously before me, they rearranged it, and oh my god, I kept opening the menu, like I didn't know how to close the menu because I was on the controller. I didn't have the mouse to close out the menu, and you're normally pressing circle to close it, but I was pressing circle, so it kept opening the menu even further. And that's what made it so confusing. But luckily, we had good healers to heal the team. Yep. And
unsung
then we had
heroes.
Yeah. And then we had great DPS checks, especially that Dragoon.
No. To
to DPS check that. I don't want to make a spoiler, but yeah, a part in the boss fight, and we were able to beat the boss, and that was really great about it. It was just, once you beat that boss, it was not you and your team celebrating. It was like everybody around us
that was watching in line. Yeah. That was the best part. Also the most nerve-wracking part, right? You're used to playing video games alone, in your room, in your underwear in the dark. You're not used to playing it in the middle.
What do you mean? I still do that.
Well, that's what I'm saying. You're used to playing like that. You're not used to playing in a convention type setting where there's mass amount of spectators, live spectators, and not even if you're just streaming. That's a different story too. But people whose faces you can see, whose voices you can hear in the background. It was wild. Yeah. It was really wild. And speaking to that, I don't play Dragoon. I play Black Mage. So in that 5-minute setup we had while Rick was setting up his buttons, I was asking Russ to teach me how to play Dragoon. And he taught me. He said, okay, you really only need 2 combos. Here are the combos. And I just lined them up with my keybinds, just 1, 2, 3 it up, QER it up. I'm just gonna avoid all the AoEs, just make sure I don't die. And I'm proud of that. That's what I'm most proud of. The fact that I didn't die. Someone else on the team did, but we won't speak on that.
I saw that person. Whoever died, it was a range person, and I was like, "Is that Brent?" I thought he was. Oh, he's like, "Oh wait, no, it wasn't Brent. Oh,
so that's what was great is not dying throughout the fight, and like you said, that DPS check, being able to keep up and get rid of it, and it was nerve-wracking with all those people watching. In fact, there was someone, a female, I guess, who mains Dragoon, who was kind of yelling at me, saying, "Aren't you using heavy thrust? Why aren't you using heavy thrust?" And I'm sitting here saying, "Man, Russ didn't show me how to use heavy thrust. Don't worry about it." And it was funny. I would only use it when she yelled it out. And I didn't have it bound to any keys, so I would just click it.
You're just clicking it?
Yeah, man. I'm such a noob at Final Fantasy.
Dude, I don't even know how we even beat it in one go. I was expecting for us to mess up.
That's the big thing, too, is that we beat it in one shot.
Yep.
Which is hats off to the 5 random people that just happened to be around us in line, man. For real. That was super clutch, man.
Yeah.
But I agree with you. That was definitely the highlight of the show for us.
Yeah, I couldn't get off my adrenaline for even the next day. I woke up like with my heart racing, thinking about that boss fight that we had, and I'm like, man, we did it.
Right, and you have that shirt to prove it. Shouts out, man. Shouts out to Final Fantasy. That really reinvigorated my drive for the game. I know early access started today. A bunch of bugs. I tried it out a little bit this morning. Couldn't really get anywhere. But I'm definitely going to be on that at least until Destiny 2 comes out. So it's the grind is back, man. I'm feeling it, dude. It's going to be great.
Oh yeah, especially with the new classes and relearning a couple of our classes that we're used to with all the new skills, and they've even taken away some skills. It's going to be fun. I'm just looking forward to playing all weekend for Stormblood.
Hell yeah, that is for sure. So that was our highlight of E3, but of course E3 didn't start there. It started with press conferences from different companies that were making video games, gaming consoles, and all that. So let's go over some highlights, man. I don't know which press conferences you watched, but I got a list here. We'll just go through it down the board. Did you watch the EA press conference?
I think I did. Can you remind me what games did EA have? Was that like just Battlefield and Battlefront?
Battlefront, yeah, Battlefront, the Star Wars game. All the sports games, they're really pushing story mode in all their sports games.
Well, yeah, not really too fond of sports games, but Battlefront really took the show, I would say.
Yeah, you think so? I, you know what, they, as much as they talked about, were more concentrated on story with this Battlefront. They showed no story trailers or anything,
no.
man.
It
They
was
had,
all multiplayer, dude.
yeah, man. They had a 30-minute long multiplayer session where the commentating was bad, the camera angles were bad. Whenever they switched to a player, the player was dying.
Yeah, I just remember he was like, "Oh, look at this jet! He's an awesome jet flyer," and then he like crashed into a building. I was
man.
like, yeah, he's not so awesome anymore, dude."
Same. I have no idea what they were doing. But they brought out, I forget her name, the actress that's playing the main character in Battlefront 2. She's a baddie, straight out of The League. If you watch that show, Shiva, the Makranda Sauerkraut, however they say her name. But definitely a recognizable face, at least to me. I know there's a bunch of people that play video games and watch The League. It's totally a bro show, so it was crazy to see her there. And as I mentioned, I kind of do enjoy what EA is doing with the sports games. You know.
Oh yeah. Well, what kind of sports games?
With soccer, with the FIFA, with I think with Madden 2, NBA Live, they're really trying to push story mode, which I think is cool because you know me, man.
Oh yeah.
If there's anything I love about the game, it's a story. So I think just being through the trials and tribulations of being a professional sports star in whatever you're doing, you know, is interesting to be done in a video game. So
on a side note, have you ever considered being a story writer for video games?
Already, man, you already know, dude. So, sidebar, I had this crazy dream for the 2 hours I slept before work. I won't even go into it right now because it was so crazy. Maybe if we have time at the end, I'll tell you about it. I even, right when I woke up, I wrote it down just so I wouldn't forget it.
Oh,
and
wow.
During lunch, I read what my dream was, and I go, someone else reads this, they're going to think I'm crazy, man. I better hide this, you know? I can't just be leaving my notebook out anywhere, man.
Yeah.
So,
I was just actually watching a documentary on, I don't know. I remember a brief scene. They were saying that the reason why we dream is because aliens are trying to communicate to us. And I was like, what the fuck are they talking about?
Well, they're sending me weird messages, my friend. Weird messages.
So who knows? You might have that anal probe and you don't know it.
Oh god. Oh, another thing EA revealed at the end of their press conference was a little, I would say 15-second teaser for this game called Anthem, which is their new IP. They did a little teaser for it and then said, oh yeah, we'll reveal more of this tomorrow at the Microsoft press conference. So, huge cock tease.
Yeah. As have you ever played a game called Vanquish?
I haven't, but I know of it.
Yeah, I think that's what it reminded me most of. You know, you guys are in that armor suit and you're going through the story like Halo. So I'm actually looking forward to playing that game, even though I won't be picking up an Xbox One X Alpha Delta Charlie.
Okay. So a little bit jumping the gun here. So yeah, the next day they did show off more of that game during the Microsoft press conference. Microsoft, I think that press conference was almost 2 hours long. They showed a bunch of stuff. Not only their new console, which they named the Xbox One X
Delta Alpha Charlie,
and then they also said, you know, they have the Xbox One S in Sam.
X as in X. What is S? I know S is like for slim.
Yeah.
What would X be?
X-ray. That's the easiest one. There's no such thing as an S-ray, is there?
I have no idea.
So they were huge. They had a lot to talk about. A lot of new games. Ones that I'm particularly excited for. Sea of Thieves. I think that's going to be great. Just teaming up with a bunch of people on a pirate ship. Each person has their own role. I think that's going to be awesome, dude. Just ultimate teamwork.
Yeah, and I was thinking, what would happen if you launch? You know where they were launching their teammates in that canyon?
Uh huh.
What if both teams launched their teammates on the other side of the ship? You know, on each ship, and then would you take over that ship, and while your teammates take over the other ship? You know what
That's
I'm saying?
yeah. I think that can definitely happen. I think the main reason for hitting up the other ship is to, I don't know, you can take their map, take their treasure that they're trying to take to an outpost. I'm
Yeah,
super excited, man. I think it's gonna be great. Um, they
yeah.
have
Especially when you like fall in and then into the water, and there's like a giant shark you have to kind of avoid.
yeah.
That's Oh my god, that would petrify me a lot.
But yeah, just the fact that every detail about the ship you have to take care of it. They shoot a hole in it. Um, if someone boards it, you gotta fight them. They have maps on there and all that. Then there's islands where there's no maps. You have to rely on a written map that tells you to take 11 paces northwest. I think it's great. I
Oh
really can't
wow.
wait for that game to come out.
Yeah.
Um, so that's on Xbox. But with Xbox's new thing too, since they're Microsoft, they're launching almost all their games on Xbox and PC at the same time. So we don't necessarily have to buy an Xbox even. You just play all this stuff on PC.
Yeah. That's what I was also gonna bring up. I was like, if you have an Xbox X but you have a PlayStation or awesome computer, you can buy just all of their new games onto Windows and be able to play it that way instead of just buying that Xbox One X.
Yeah, essentially, that's it. I mean, with consoles, it's always been catered to the more casual gamer, right? I mean,
Yeah.
ultimately, a PC that's gonna run those games would cost you more than $500, right?
Yep. Yeah.
But it's just what else you're doing on the computer, the passion for it, the running at 60 frames, 144 hertz, and all that. That's why consoles are so casual, so you can just get it all in one box, plug it in, plug and play, easy peasy,
Yeah.
lemon squeezy.
How
Um,
how is the cross platform going to be? Are they going to be able to play with each other?
that I'm not sure. I don't remember hearing anything about that. Um, yeah, I really don't remember if they said anything about that. I would imagine at least Xbox with computer people. I don't think I don't think that game is even coming out on PlayStation. So yeah, I think if anything, it would just be Xbox and PC people that will be able to play with each other. So it'll
Yeah.
be it'll be interesting. Like that was one of the games I'm looking the most forward to. They pedaled out their consoles, like we said, and a big thing, backwards compatibility with everything, all the way back to
Yeah, I
the
think they killed it
OG
with it.
Xbox.
Yep, yep. They
That
won
is
the
huge.
conference with just saying that, with all the OG games and everything like that. I was like, man, if only I can be able to play old PlayStation games, PS2 games, because I have them all packed up, but I want to play them. But I think I sold my PS2, so I won't be able to play it.
Yeah, those are yeah, and I think so too. I agree with you that Microsoft just won the console year with that, which is good. There needs to be competition. I think Sony's spent the last 2 3 years on top. They need to get knocked down a peg because it was evident in their press conference, which we'll get to later. But they're kind of falling a little bit flat, man. And it's good that the gaming console scene at least is getting competitive again. I think it'll just motivate Sony to do even better next time, right?
Absolutely.
So, any other games from Microsoft that you were surprised by, looking forward to?
Um, I think this was on the Xbox. Was it that you remember that game I was talking about earlier? It was the Skylanders or Sky something where you put like a toy figure onto the
Oh,
controller.
I want to
Yeah.
say that was Sony. We can double check. It was
Well,
Skylanders Builders or something like that.
yeah, yeah. So that game I'm actually kind of looking out for because I do like flying jets and playing with other people and running away and exploring. And that game looks like you can go from the ground from whatever planet back up to space. And I'm just hoping for a good space exploration game that
Yeah,
can just grind so many hours of my time exploring like what's this, what's that, and hopefully they won't all look the same and have the same feel and repetition for each planet. Being chased by all of the enemies and the starships and jumping, it's just that kind of aspect I enjoy in a game so much is the exploration. If yours is enjoying the story, I think mine is more of the adventuring part of, what's over here, what's hidden in this dungeon, what's underwater, things like that.
Yeah, I don't remember what conference I was a part of, but I do specifically remember what you're talking about.
Yeah.
And yeah, that would be cool. I don't even know, they didn't even say if it was multiplayer or not, but the fact that your creations that you build and then put on top of your controller to be read and put into the game is going to be great. I wonder if there's going to be a limit on what you can build.
Attach two spaceships together and make like I don't know.
Yeah. I'm actually make a note. This reminded me of a demo I played at the indie spot, building stuff. Another game I saw from Microsoft that I'm really, really excited for is State of Decay 2. I played the entirety of the first one, not the DLCs, but just State of Decay 1, and that game was incredible. It was really buggy and it was rough around the edges, but the concept of it is what kept me into it. You start off as this guy, I think his name is Marcus, who was on a family vacation or something. Car crashes, so he runs out, finds out town he's nearest is just infested with zombies. Along the way, you meet someone who was in the army, and then you go around, find more survivors, and you have to build a base. So with maybe the 4 or 5 people you have, you might hold up into a school or something,
Yeah.
And as time goes on, there's other survivors who meet up with you. You have to go look for supplies, you have to build beds, you have to build all this stuff is things you have to do in the game. Build a garden, build posts where people can now look for danger and all that stuff. And the more people you get into your community, the more resources you have to go through. So you have to go out and scavenge and stuff like that, put together parties of people to go out, so that they're not alone and they're not vulnerable by themselves. One of the greatest mechanics and what got me the most was when you, like I said, you start off as Marcus. You think he's going to be the POV character, but everybody has a fatigue level where they get tired over time. So you have to let them go sleep and rest. And while they're sleeping and resting, you take control of another person that's in your community. You could choose who it is. So as I mentioned, you first run across that ex-military girl. You can use her, and she has special skills. She has better aim and all that stuff. And you can level up your community members, whether I think they can level up on their own, or you can go out and do it yourself,
Wait, so 1 second. When you go to sleep, are you vulnerable for attacks?
No, because no, because you'd want to sleep in your base, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, you can be tired outside of your base, but you're just gonna walk super slow. And I never took that risk of being less than half fatigued before I went back to the place. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
With cars too, cars took damage. They had to take gas and all that, so you couldn't just go out and drive wherever you wanted. If you were running over zombies, it would take a toll and your car would break down.
Is this a multiplayer game?
No, that was the biggest thing. My wish was for that to be multiplayer, but they only developed it to be single player. So as I mentioned, you take control of other people, level them up and all that. There was one time where I didn't fully get a grasp of that, so I was trying to do all the missions with Marcus, and of course he was getting tired. So I do this one mission where I unlocked these backwoods family that knew how to make bombs and fuel and all that stuff. Yeah. So they wanted me to help them protect their house before they joined me. So I helped them protect their house. I used up all of my ammo, all my Molotovs, all my bombs. I have little health. I used up all my heals. And they're like, okay, we'll go ahead and meet you back at your place. It's miles away. My car broke on the way there.
Oh, wow.
So I have to walk, right? I have this bat. I'm walking back. This is maybe 5 hours into the game. I'm walking back so slow. I see a group of zombies in front of me. I try to crouch and sneak around them, but there's a mountain. or an elevation. I'm kind of like on a hill, you know.
Uh-huh.
So I'm trying to go down the hill so I can go back to my base, and I fall off and die. And it's like such little amount of
do
health.
you lose your stuff when you die?
So get this: the screen goes black, and I go, "Oh man, that sucks. I'll have to do that mission over again, right?"
Uh-huh.
Wrong. I take control of another character who's still in the base, and they have a voice line that says, "Oh man, we'll miss Marcus. He was one of the better ones." And he's dead. He's dead, dude. I can't revive him. All I can do is go back and maybe get the supplies I dropped. But there's no getting him back. And I was so salty. I was just thinking in my head, that was my fucking day one. I am not gonna let him die. So I restarted the whole game, dude, just to make sure he survived, man. So I know when this came out, State of Decay 2, people were tripping out saying, "Oh, this game's gonna be great. Look at all these mechanics." This is nothing new. State of Decay has been doing this. Nobody's been paying attention though. You know,
Yeah.
which is the big thing with me. So that's why I'm excited. It's hopefully they get all the kinks, all the rough edges, they smooth out, all the bugs they get rid of. Of course, it's gonna have better graphics already. I'm gonna be playing this on PC for sure, man. It's gonna be great.
I hope they have introduced co-op. You know, that would be pretty sick to be able to play with your bros, and if somebody dies, you can just pick up your bro's stuff and then run back to the base while you switch back to the girl that you so love.
You know what? Oh man, I have to show you when I streamed it, because she was my. There's a last mission where the army radios to you and says, "Oh, hey, we're evacuating people from the town." Blah blah blah. So you have to pack up all your stuff, take all your people, and go across the city, essentially. You know, to the safe zone. And with her, dude, I gave her all the big guns. She was my tank. I just let her be the sacrificial lamb, dude. So everybody could survive. Yeah, I'll have to show you that video. But there's so many other mechanics I didn't tell you about too. Like if one of the survivors in your camp gets bit, or they start a mutiny because they don't feel like they're getting a fair share of the food and all. That game is so good, man. So good.
Can you just like have a small community and just go power through the game with your small people, or do you have to build like a huge community to be able to survive like an endless zombie attack near the end?
I want to say you can. There are people with specific skills you need to get to the end game, though.
Oh, okay,
I think
gotcha.
Your community will definitely benefit from having a nurse or a doctor. They'll benefit from having some engineers. I think one of the missions was to get an engineer or something so they could fix the radios.
Yeah,
And then those guys that were good at making bombs and fuel and stuff. So I don't know. Maybe I only played through it 1.5 times, I guess you could say. So who knows? Maybe.
Gotcha.
But yeah, that game's great. Anything else from Microsoft for you then?
No, it was just those 2 games I'm actually looking forward to.
Mm-hmm.
Other than that, it's mostly stuff on the PlayStation.
Gotcha.
And Ubisoft.
Okay, they did close out with Anthem. As we mentioned before, EA teased a little bit at it, and then that's actually who made that game? BioWare. BioWare actually made that game. Same guys that made Mass Effect. They've always had a relationship with Microsoft, so I guess that's why they would rather premiere it on there. But that game is basically Division in Iron Man suits.
Yeah.
As far
well,
as
I want to be in that Iron Man suit.
Yeah, it's just with me, we've been tricked so many times. We thought Division was gonna be the shit, and Division was really good. We definitely got our money's worth. We got maybe 3 or 4 months of just solid gameplay on that, hours and hours on end.
Yeah, I was thinking it was completely different. I thought it would be more along the lines of Grand Theft Auto, like that big of a map, but it felt very sandboxed to me. And especially when you're going into the dark zone, it just felt really small in my mind.
Yeah, it didn't help at all that the map was essentially split in 2 with a darkness zone in the middle, so you kind of had to walk around that if you didn't really want to mess with it.
Yeah.
But with this game, it did look kind of linear where they were flying in their suits. The trees were split. There was a clear path along it. Whether you can delve actually into the woods, um, that's a different story. They showed off two classes, more of a Hulkbuster type suit and another just a regular damage type suit.
Yeah.
I,
Well, I hope it's along the lines of Destiny. Well, we're still kind of going on a linear path, but felt a bit bigger than Division, the way you were going with your friends.
that's definitely true. Um, I think the most interesting part of that trailer was the beginning where they were in a town similar to Destiny. You know, they go beyond the wall, just like Destiny, because there's a wall blocking the remaining humans from the dangers out there.
What is with the games and walls?
I have no idea, dude.
Everybody wants to build a wall.
But the most intriguing part to me was BioWare has been catching so much flack for their performance on Andromeda, right? And how the faces were all screwy on there. I don't think I've seen more beautiful face animations than in Anthem's game.
In Anthem, like
yeah,
that
man.
old man talking, they're
Yep.
just like zoomed in to show that, you know, we learned our lesson, guys.
Exactly,
We learned our lesson.
exactly. And I mean, I know that the studio that made Andromeda was kind of like the B team. You know, these guys, I feel like they had to make their point and flex some muscle, you know. So that was Microsoft. As Rick mentioned, and I agree with, I think they won the conference war, at least this year, if there is such a thing. They had a lot that they introduced, a lot that they brought up, and a lot of games I'm actually excited for, which I usually can't say for Microsoft. So that was really cool.
Yeah, especially with that Xbox One X double D alpha.
That's gonna be the joke. That is definitely gonna be the joke.
Dude, I wonder what that X stands for. Xbox One, I think that's 10. They're representing 10. Xbox One 10.
So the press conference after that was Bethesda. And I mean, what else can you say about Bethesda except for sell Skyrim, man? They just are gonna put that game out 50 million different ways.
Yeah, I think like there's a lot of memes going on with how many times can you release a game before people start throwing up? Things like that.
I mean, how long has Skyrim been out? Over 5 years, right? It's been out for a while.
Dude, I feel it's longer. And how many remakes does it take? You know, like I just keep it at one. You know, if you're gonna remake it once, then sure. But if you keep doing it over and over and over, it's you might as well come out with another game at that point.
Yeah. I want to say, dude, Skyrim has lasted 2 console generations,
Yeah.
almost 3 now, since it's gonna be on Switch.
Wow. And VR.
I know, man. It's
Damn.
crazy. I guess they're getting their money's worth out of it. I don't know. If it wasn't successful, they wouldn't keep making it. So who knows, man? They gotta see something that we don't.
Yeah, I think they're making the VR version because a lot of people like to mod. And, you know, people like to mod things on, you know, the characters, if you know what I'm talking about. So they want to see 3D and virtual reality, if you know what I'm saying. Take an arrow to the knee kind of stuff. You know?
I didn't even think about that until now that you bring it up. That's actually funny. That was a
I don't
big
know
thing.
anything about that stuff, by the way.
So that was a big thing as well, was Bethesda VR, right? They had that with Fallout as well. They had a bunch of VR stuff going on there. I think the biggest surprise, if any, from Bethesda was Evil Within 2. That game looks crazy. That game
yeah, kind of
looks
blocked
insane.
it out of my mind at that point.
I mean, I'm with you. I would never play it. I mean, I have Evil Within 1, and I didn't stop playing it because I was scared, more or less. I stopped playing it because it had those black bars just on the screen constantly. I felt kind of ruined my immersion in the game. You know, it got rid of a lot of what you were able to see and all that. So I don't know. I just couldn't stand it there. But Bethesda's super mediocre. Um, I think that was the only real new game they announced, man. Who had Wolfenstein? Was that Xbox that had Wolfenstein, or was that Bethesda as well?
I think that was Bethesda. I don't
Yeah,
remember Xbox having that
yeah, I think you're right.
Wolfenstein.
Wolfenstein looked great too. So I haven't played the first one, but the graphics just look incredible on that. So
Yeah, yeah,
those might be the two standouts from there. After that, there was the PC press conference. I didn't really watch this one.
I missed it. I was
Yeah,
hoping, yeah, but I was reading news articles and people were saying like you didn't really miss anything from the PC.
I think the only thing that I really saw people were actually making fun of um, was the Age of Empires remaster.
What's
Have
that
you?
game about?
It's a real time strategy game. One of those where you build a
Build stuff,
civilization.
right?
Exactly, exactly.
Oh,
And you think they remaster it, they're gonna do a lot. You could change perspectives. You could maybe go third person into it. Actually walk around in the towns you're building.
uh-huh.
No, they just clean up the graphics, and if anything, it looks worse.
Really? They didn't like change the character models or anything?
No, I mean they did. They look smoother, but I think we've talked about this before, where pixel art and 2D graphics are popular. It's appealing to the eye, that certain style of graphics.
Yeah,
When
I think
you
you can only pull it off if you're making like a new game. But if you're just trying to bring up old games and remaster it, I don't know. You have to actually change the game, how the game plays.
Yeah, and that's what they did, right? Is they changed it from those stylized, more pixely graphics to everything smoothed out. They probably have full 3D models, but you can only look at it as if you're playing StarCraft or something. It's that top-down kind of isometric view,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
it looks worse. It looks worse. It's crazy. It's crazy. I don't know how they pulled it off, but I think that was the biggest thing I heard from the PC press conference was what an upset that game was.
On a side note, I was thinking, why are they bringing back old games? Like I know old games was really great, and a lot of them were legendary, and of course we would like to see the remastered version of it. But it's like, can they actually start bringing out new content to match how legendary the games were back in the day?
Maybe. I think a big thing is nostalgia and playing on that nostalgia.
Hmm.
A lot of people that grew up playing games like us were the biggest suckers for it, man. We're probably the people that are going to spend $100 on Final
Yeah,
Fantasy VII Remake or
I would
something
spend
like that.
$1,000 on
See,
Xenogears.
exactly, exactly. So, and that's why, if you say, "Oh, we're coming out with Final Fantasy 16," you'll say, "Oh, cool," that's great.
Yeah.
But if you say, "Oh, you're coming out with Final Fantasy 7 Remake," just throw my
Yeah, the
money.
whole world goes crazy. Yep.
Exactly, exactly. I think just the strength of the name is there, and they hardly have to do any marketing for it. It's already
Yeah.
done. Your experiences, your nostalgia will do all that for them, essentially.
Yeah, and that's what I mean too. It's like that game it was very impactful on the rest of the world where everybody would go crazy just hearing the thought of a remake of
Hmm.
their game.
Hmm. And Age of Empires 2 has that fan base where they would be excited about it. I haven't heard from a true fan whether this was a success or not. But time will tell. We'll see what happens when it gets released.
Roger that.
Next press conference there was Ubisoft. Uh, big one which was leaked was the Rabbids times Mario crossover, which was great, man. I think if it didn't get leaked, I think that would have been a great reveal, man.
Yeah. Wow. It looked very good too, especially the way that they had their tactics in the game, and it was very fluent the way the characters moved for cover and how the enemies responded to the enemy to the protagonist moving. And I thought it was pretty interesting, but the only thing that kind of turns me off is I'm not into to rabbits itself.
Yeah, I feel you too. Yeah, it's a little bit kiddie here and there, but I don't know. I think it was a hit.
Yeah, definitely, no
That
doubt. I think
that
it's great.
XCOM play style I think is really fun. Hard as hell, but definitely fun. Um, Ubisoft also had Assassin's Creed, which was huge. I think I have that drive to finish those games now. Just because
Are you still on number 2?
I'm actually still on Brotherhood, yes.
Wow.
But after seeing that, I think, in between queue times for Final Fantasy 14, I'm gonna be playing Assassin's Creed on my TV. So I mean, I can't knock it. It looks good. They put in RPG elements where you level up, and then they put item rarities. There was an exotic bow that the main character picked up during the mission that they showed.
Yeah.
So it's gonna be crazy, man. It's gonna be crazy.
Yeah, especially like controlling that falcon. I thought that was an interesting aspect to the game.
No, that's for sure. And I'm not gonna be the first person to buy it, but I'm eventually gonna buy it. Similar to how I am with Horizon Zero Dawn right now. I know eventually I'm gonna get that game, but I'm not chomping at the bit to get it this second. It'll be good to get on a sale. You follow me?
Yep.
They also had pirate battles, which you mentioned to me. They just took straight out of Assassin's Creed Black Flag and made their own game.
Skulls and bones.
Skulls and
bones.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah. And when I played Assassin's Creed 4, I'm not into pirates. I wasn't into pirate games or anything. But when I actually started to loot, pillage, and take down other pirate ships, I felt so immersed that I felt like I wanted to be a pirate, and that's what made the game super good. Was the ship battles, and the immersion came from your crew. Your crew was actually singing songs of old pirate songs, and then when you guys battle other pirate ships, you can board those pirate ships and take it over, or you can just sink it to the bottom of the ocean. And also you can tack castles while they're shooting you, and you're going through tornadoes while other ships are trying to take you down. It's just that aspect of the game was really crazy, and that's why they brought it to Skulls and Bones. But I'm seeing a lot of mixed reviews of other people thinking that just leave that into the Assassin's Creed 4. Why make that game based on Assassin's Creed 4's ship battles? But it looks really good, honestly. And I'm looking forward to seeing how well that turns out in comparison to Sea of Thieves, because I really want to play with friends.
Yeah. And that's what I'll say is I think Sea of Thieves has the advantage when it comes to this pirate revolution that we're having.
Yeah. Like it looks like you can do more. Skull and Bones, you can of course pillage other ships, but you just shoot ships and aboard them. But Sea of Thieves, it looks like you can actually explore different areas. You can use your rowboat. You can go underwater, and it seems like your crew is on the same ship too, which is pretty cool. Have your friends play with you versus having 5 ships and only one person can control that ship.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest upper hand that Sea of Thieves has. Now, let me ask you this: in Assassin's Creed Black Flag, your crew members, did you recruit them or anything, or did they just come with the ship?
You recruit them, and I think you level them up. And you also take prisoners, which they turn, become part of your crew.
Okay.
And the bigger the ship, the better the crew, the faster the ship, and you get more stuff like cannons, and they manage those.
Yeah.
I just really loved, like, they were just singing out of nowhere the pirate songs, because when you're traveling on the oceans, sometimes it's a long ride, and then you have your sailor crew singing, to enjoy this ride that you have to go through. I remember spending almost the entire time before I even started like the third mission. I was just pillaging everything. I was shooting, I was upgrading my ship, I was out in the seas. Once I was boarded that ship, I was gone. I never came back to the islands.
See, now the only danger I see with Skull and Bones is it will be a multiplayer game, but each person on your team is going to control their own ship.
Yeah, that's what I was.
And
Yeah.
each ship has a health bar, so it's not as immersive as Sea of Thieves is. I'll definitely have to see more, but right now I'm really leaning on Sea of Thieves just because it's much more detailed and more immersive to being a pirate than Skull and Bones is. At least so far for me, that's what I see. Again, I haven't experienced Black Flag, so maybe I have to go through that first to really appreciate it.
Yeah.
But for now, yeah, that's crazy. It's the year of the pirates. I think the years before has been year of the zombies.
I thought that was already gone. I thought that was like 2 years ago for the
Yeah.
year of the pirates. Now it was zombies.
Yeah.
What?
What?
After that is apocalypse.
I guess
kind of stuff.
Pirates of the Caribbean just came out, the new one this year. So
I haven't watched it. Have you watched it yet?
no, that's more of a DVD movie. I don't really go to theaters to watch those.
Gotcha.
But yeah, man. So after Ubisoft, it was Sony's turn. One of the last press conferences. They always have it on Monday night. We watched this press conference together. I think they had the most to lose just because the bar was set so high for them. And
oh yeah.
it started off great. You know, they had Horizon Zero Dawn. They had Uncharted, Lost Legacy. They had, what was that other game? Days Gone. And then they kind of faltered out with the VR stuff. It was kind of weird.
Yeah.
I'm going to say easily the two things I was most excited for was Shadow of the Colossus remake. I think that's going to be crazy. Just the graphics in that looked awesome. And hopefully they add more bosses that were not on the original game, because there's rumors of a lot of material that was cut from the final game on there. So hopefully they add those in there.
Yeah. Are they like remastering everything, like all of the graphics and the story and the gameplay, or are they just porting it over?
No, it's definitely a remaster, full out, not the story or anything like that. I hope not the gameplay, because as the gameplay was, I have no problems with it, but it just looks like a graphical overhaul of the entire game. All those Colossus are ones that you fight in the old games. The character models look way smoother. It looks like it's running a lot better. So I think it's just a complete remaster, at least graphically. I don't think there's not much you can change from the story anyways. Have you played it?
I don't remember. I think I played Ike, and I think that was the same people that made Shadow of Colossus.
Oh, Ico. Yeah.
Yeah.
Little kid with the puzzles and the sword and axe.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think as a Dark Souls fan, you'll definitely like this game.
Oh.
It skips all of the minor battles and you just concentrate on the big battles. Which is what always pissed me off. I always wanted to fight a normal sized dude, because I'm this little kid that's just beating up all these giants. I just wish a normal sized person would try to fight me. So that was a big one for me for sure, just because, as we mentioned before, the nostalgia, of playing games that we played when we were kids. That's gonna be great. I think another big announcement for a lot of people, especially Danny, who mentioned it last week, is Monster Hunter Worlds. I think it's called the MMO.
Yeah, Monster Hunter, because I think the entire time they had it on 3D consoles or 3DS consoles, and Danny really wanted it to be on an actual graphic intensive console, and I think the Japanese had it on PC. So good thing that they're bringing Monster Hunter over to PS4, and I think they're bringing it over to Xbox also.
Oh wow, okay. But do they have some exclusivity deal with Sony? Maybe bonus items like Destiny or anything like that?
Oh, I have no idea. I kind of skipped the Monster Hunter booth at E3, even though I'm actually excited to start playing the game, because I haven't played it, but it looks exciting enough where I can finally be able to play with my friends, kill a dinosaur together, just like Attack on Titans that you were mentioning. And,
Yeah, that's what reminded me a lot from that trailer was, he lures the dinosaur out, kind of traps it here and there, and then when his dragon comes and fights the dinosaur, he shoots up one of those smoke signals Then you
Yeah.
just see all of his homies come in on their dragons to help him out.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah, that's gonna be crazy. I think that's another one I'll wait on. Didn't Sony have the Monster Hunter demo at their booth too?
I don't think so. I know it was in the other side,
Yeah, yeah,
but it was really closed off and the line was really long and you had to be there very early to play, and it was like a single player mode.
yeah.
So it wasn't multiple people playing it, and at the time PlayStation, I think they had a trailer that you can watch, but you had to reserve the time.
Oh, okay, okay,
I think that's what our friends went to.
okay. So yeah, I mean that's another one that'll be cool. They showed off Destiny 2, of course, as Sony does, that exclusivity.
Fuck yeah.
Got to play that twice actually, but we'll talk about that a little later. And then they ended it off with Spider-Man, which I was impressed with. I think that game is going to be great. Reminded us all of Batman, yeah, Arkham.
Yeah.
Just
Friendly neighborhood web slinging Spider-Man.
the only thing with me, man, is I feel like the web slinging he did through the city, chasing that helicopter. I feel like he could have just grabbed the helicopter from the get-go. I just wanted to make it exciting, you know?
Yeah.
And just
I
have that
noticed
chase
too.
scene play out.
Yeah, the mechanics of the web slinging kind of, it didn't really stick to me the way he was web slinging. I'm used to watching the cartoon where he's like doing that full swing arc,
Yeah, yeah.
but it kind of looked like it was like really short, and he would like run on the wall and then swing, briefly, and then jump through a falling sign, and
Yeah.
action packed basically. But overall, I think it looks completely amazing. I have never been excited for a Spider-Man game
Yeah.
since the SNES.
Well, you never played the ones on PS1, the Activision ones?
I think I briefly played it, but I wasn't really too fond of it. I'm not sure.
Okay. On the contrary to what you're saying about the traveling or web slinging, I think he had to do that. The running on the walls and shooting a web and pulling it to propel himself forward because he was chasing someone, right? Maybe if he was just casually traveling around, you would do the more traditional web swinging like we're used to.
Yeah, true that.
But
True.
I thought it was cool. I like the running on the walls. I like the choice that maybe you can have of propelling yourself rather than doing the regular swinging. I know that was an option in the old PlayStation games that I played, so who knows, maybe. But yeah, definitely excited for that too. But yeah, that was it from Sony. Just a lot of games that
God of War too.
Oh, God of War. How could I forget? Yeah, God of War does look good. That game that doesn't have a release date though, so who knows when we're gonna be playing that?
Yeah, 50 years from now.
Oh my god! Oh my god!
I'm old again. Dang it!
Oh man! So then off to the unsung heroes who might have saved E3 as far as hype goes. Nintendo actually came with the big guns this year, man. It was kind of crazy. They only had maybe a 25-minute press conference. It was pre-recorded. It wasn't live, but they came out swinging, man. They had Fire Emblem, a bunch of new footage from that game.
Yep.
They announced a new Kirby game, a new Yoshi game. They announced they're coming out with Metroid Prime 4, which is insane. How long have people been asking for that?
Yeah.
They announced they'll be doing a Pokemon game for the Switch, the traditional RPG, not the Pokken fighting game.
Yeah, and that's what I was noticing too. Like their press conference was mostly just saying it's coming soon. It's in development, and everybody would be so hyped just hearing that. It wasn't. There's no footage, no pictures or anything. It was just everybody was hyped, saying, "Oh man, finally we're getting our games that we wanted," and all that.
Yeah, man. This is what made me realize reading this right now that Nintendo, man, they owe it all to whoever invented Mario, Pokemon, Kirby. They really have 6 games in their rotation or 6
Yeah.
IP in their rotation that they just keep recycling, man.
Yeah.
They're just earlier we were talking about selling Skyrim. With Nintendo, they just need to sell Mario, dude.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's wild. Dang, I wish Danny were here so he could speak more to this. He's the only one really that I know with a Switch. And then Mario Odyssey. I think that was the game of the show, man. Not only did they show a bunch more from the game, you know, a new mechanic where you can take over people by throwing your hat on them and then you can control them.
Yeah.
But they also revealed the release date of October 27th, I think, this year, which is not that far relatively. So that's crazy, man, that this is coming so soon.
Yep.
So
yeah, like I was like, there's only 2 games that I really want, and that's Legend of Zelda, and Mario Odyssey.
are you talking about for the Switch, right?
The Switch, yeah. I bet the Switch. And looking at Mario Odyssey, I'm like, how can you get more creative than you were before? When Mario came out, it was just like a 2-bit kind of game. You're going left and right, and then it just evolved with so much game mechanics. The next thing you know, he's like 3D running around, and then
Mario 64, yeah.
Yep. Next thing you know, it's Mario Galaxy, where he's running like completely 3D around, and then it's just the way they keep evolving. They keep outdoing themselves every year. It's like, I know there's a couple of bad Mario games, but the majority of all of the Mario games are all really good. And it's like, how do you get that? You set the bar so high, and you always exceed the bar the next time. And that's why, like, the Nintendo fans are super crazy,
Yeah, I mean, it's easy. You come out with a Mario game every 5 years, right? I'm just joking. But yeah, I agree with you. It's crazy how they keep innovating and building upon what they have, Afterwards, they showed a Metroid 2 remake, I think, which got a lot of people excited too. Just the traditional side-scrolling, going through the map, remake on 3DS. So Nintendo had a strong showing this year for sure. And that'll kind of carry us into our next segment, which is being on the E3 show floor, which was wild, right? I mean, you go to Nintendo and they completely rebuilt New Donk City. They had walls and setup that looked like buildings. They had streets and park benches all set up all around, all over the place. Spotlights just flashing everywhere. You barely noticed that there was a 5-hour line going around the whole place. It was crazy. All the people that worked there were dressed up in 50s style suits and dresses similar to the characters that we see in the trailers. It was kind of wild, man. It's kind of wild.
Especially, it felt like a Disneyland feel to it. Everything was like kind of magical, and you just enjoyed being there. It was reminded you of your childhood and what it feels like to enjoy games. That I enjoyed the vibe in the Nintendo area. And then if you played the game, you would get that Mario hat with the eyes that everybody was after. But it was till the last day that we were trying to get that hat for all of our friends. But we thought we got there early enough to be able to play the game to get the hat. But it turns out that everybody in that hall, that convention, ran directly to that Mario booth.
So the floor opened up at 10 that day, right? The day you guys tried to go. What time did you actually show up to the convention center?
I believe we showed up around maybe 8 o'clock.
And then you guys just stood in line in front of the West Hall?
Yeah. And the line, it seemed pretty short too, from the doors. But as soon as we got through, the line started moving, going through into the convention, people were cutting. Like, everybody on our right was just running. Like, there was like a huge crowd, and before you know it, there was a huge line along the entire booth, which the booth spanned the entire convention. And then we were thinking, okay, there's the end of the line. Nope, there's another line to get into that area. You got like 5 zigzag lines, and each line carried almost 100 people in every line. So that was like almost 400 to 600 people ahead of us. And how many booths of the game they had? There was like only maybe 10. So it wasn't a lot. We were moving.
No, it was more than that, I think, dude.
No, because
Are you sure?
yeah. Well, okay, maybe more than that. Maybe more than that. But still, like we weren't moving. We barely moved. We barely moved a couple of feet after 15 to 20 minutes just standing there. And I of course I want the hat, and I love Mario, but I don't think I want to use most of my day just to get the hat when I could be checking out all the other extra booths I miss, especially like the hidden indie games.
Yeah.
As well.
Now that's something I'll say too. We'll just get this out of the way. The negativity before we bring it back up is they were really unprepared this year. I feel like the organizers of E3 were a little bit unprepared for just how many people they were going to have there, right? I mean,
yeah,
the LA Convention Center is huge. I read somewhere that the attendance this year was 63,000 people.
Wow.
You think that's a lot?
Yeah, well, yeah. Compared to Comic-Con, which is, I think they average 115,000 to 300,000 outside the convention.
Exactly. But I feel like E3 was way more crowded, don't you think, than Comic-Con would ever be?
Yeah, like you were saying, they were unprepared, and I don't think it's their fault because they usually had it closed off to invites only. But then when they realized there was a lot of people going a lot of everywhere, kind of lining up for a lot of events, but it was blocking most of the traffic of people walking, then they're like, okay, maybe we're going to have to make changes for the next year.
Because
it was pretty condensed, and I think was it the West or the South Hall? Which is the one with the Microsoft?
In both, it was really bad as you got towards the middle of the halls. It was really bad. But yeah, there's definitely some growing pains there. Now let me tell you this: in 2 weeks, you're going to Anime Expo, which you'll have to do like a review of Anime Expo on this, man. There's estimated that there's going to be 100,000 people there.
Oh,
but
hold up.
but I heard it feels less crowded than what E3 was. So you're going to be the best judge of that. So in 2 weeks after you go to Anime Expo, you'll have to report back, man, and let me know.
What are they going to have, like one booth in the middle?
Dude, anime's a big deal, bro.
That's what I was thinking. I was like, when I was watching some of the Anime Expo videos, it doesn't look crowded where people are shoving and pushing. And then E3 looks like it looked normal. But then when we got there, it was just, think of Comic-Con, but oh my god, it was just everywhere too.
Yeah. And I mean, that's the thing. I think they were unorganized, really. They weren't prepared for the influx of people. I think they normally have around 50,000 visitors, but of course, when you sell 15,000 public tickets, that influx is going to be crazy. They just weren't prepared for it, I mean, we've been to Comic-Con how many years, and they don't get it right the first day, but they eventually fix it up. For example, when I played the Final Fantasy 15 demo last year in order to get a shirt, the first day I had to sneak into the line, but the second day I went, they were handing out the appointment cards. They were saying, oh yeah, just come back at 2:30, and it was, I don't know, 11 o'clock or something. So they were much more organized that way. PlayStation had an app where you could reserve a time, although it didn't work out the best. In theory, I think that's where they need to go. They need to just have people reserve times to get in line, so that you're not just all standing around in that area.
Yeah, I was gonna bring that up too. Like PlayStation, it was like really difficult to land a spot since there was only 18 spots per hour or per every 30 minutes, and everybody would crash the app trying to reserve their spot to play a game or play a demo. And I respect that. It's a good idea to have that kind of idea, but maybe have a little bit more booths so more people can play, because 60,000 people wanting to play Destiny. I know it's not that much, but
there was a lot of There's a lot of places too where you could play Destiny too. I know in a GTX booth you could play Destiny, and then Activision had their own booth where you could play Destiny. I mean, that's all the complaining for me. You got any more gripes about it, or?
Um, like all that in all, I think the only thing that I wish to see more of, um, it was more indie games. Like it felt like the indie game area was kind of small, and I was hoping to see more developers that like we did in PlayStation Experience, where almost half of the floor was testing out these new games, or displaying, showcasing these games that people put their heart and soul out. And I know all of them do, but it's just I wish I saw more of that. I think it was only like 1/4 of the convention of one hall.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you, and I think, at least for me, that's where I get the most enjoyment out of these types of things, whether it's PSX or, even at the Artist Alley at Comic-Con. Just the small time guys who are out there because it's their passion. They're not making millions of dollars out of it, but it's something that they like to do, which is cool. I played a couple. I actually wrote this down earlier, which is why I'm glad we're back here. I played a few games, especially the second day when I was walking around with Justin. We kind of hung out in the area, and remember that first day I played that game where you had to see sounds, and I forget what that game was called.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
But
like
it had to do with Morse code.
Hypnotizing.
Yeah. Then you had to listen to the beats and watch this circle come towards you and time it and press circle at the right time and the picture would change. I really can't explain it. It's just a surround sound of these super processed noises. I think the guy said he was strumming a guitar and then just processed the crap out of it, put a bunch of reverb. I didn't even know it was a guitar, man. It just sounded like a machine was trying to talk to me. It was crazy, dude.
Wow. But I hope you're not like hypnotized where you hear the snap of someone's finger and you're robbing a bank going back.
Who knows? Maybe they did. But the fact that afterwards, I know the guy could see on my face that I had no idea what the hell I was doing or what the hell I just played. But he took the time to explain it, because that's his project, that's his baby. He's so proud of it.
I really enjoyed that
too. Yeah, and just hearing that from him, I was like engaged, asking him questions about why you did this, how did you do this, and just seeing that passion, I think is great, and it is infectious. It made me want to go out and try to do something like that. The other game I played, I forgot what it's called. I feel so bad that I forget what these are called, but you basically got to build a pet or a guardian kind of monster, right? And you could take him out into the world. You have a whistle where you can make him do commands and stuff. You could ride him around. So I made this guy. I mean, I was just messing around, so I made this huge dog, cat, bear thing with 2 tails, 4 eyes, 2 mouths, and we're just walking around, and the guy was telling me while I was playing, he goes, oh yeah, you can explore, you can ride him, you can go around, he can reach areas for you that you can't reach, he'll protect you if there's any other beasts out there. And I was like, oh really, I can command him to fight? You go, oh yeah, definitely. So not even a minute later, I run into something and it's huge, and the guy's like, oh, you might want to go around this. And I go, hell no, I built my monster, he's fighting for me. So I commanded my abomination to go and attack this thing. And he, all of a sudden, this yellow smiley face, but he's not smiling, he's crying. And my monster runs away, and I go, what?
Oh wow!
And he goes, the guy that was watching me play, the developer, he goes, oh yeah, you see, he's scared that guy's way too big for him. You actually better get out of there, you might die. I go, oh hell no. So I'm running after my buddy, I'm trying to call him back so I could jump on him and ride him, He eventually listens to me and he starts coming back, but this monster's still chasing us, and my monster died, dude, protecting me.
Wow! You didn't have enough badges to control him.
I know, man. No, he died protecting me because, he had to come back for me because I was running so slow. So when he ran back, the monster caught up with me too, and they kind of collided. And I kept running, and I turned around and I see my monster, all the blocks and pieces I put into him, just getting ripped into shreds in the air, dude.
Crap, dude.
And I'm telling you, man, I played this game for 15 minutes, but I felt like I lost my dog for real. I was like, oh no, dude. And just that experience alone and talking to the developer after was great, man. It was definitely one of my highlights at the indie area, dude. That was awesome.
Yeah.
But what about any other games that you played besides Final Fantasy that were big for you? How was the show in general? Was it sensory overload? I know we're used to going to Comic-Con. Is it what you expected it to be?
Yeah, in a sense, it was exactly how I expected it to be. I think the second day was the most highlight of my day, where we won the Final Fantasy t-shirts. But overall, in a sense, I think it was really good, like having all the games, seeing all the games on the floor and seeing all the developers, and these were like actual professionals that they were going to, and the press, and I enjoyed being in that environment where you see the excitement, the enthusiasm of all these gamers, and they all share the passion of playing video games.
Yeah.
And so, just going back and forth between the two halls, it just opens my mind like, okay, now I have to start getting my game set. I have to start looking into how they went through, the turns in life to create and develop their game, and to be able to get it onto the floor themselves. So hopefully I'm going to be the next indie developer.
Hell yeah, man. That's what I'm saying, man. It's definitely, like you said, an inspiration to go out and definitely do your own thing and be part of the industry, more or less, right?
And then speaking a little bit on Comic-Con, like we go to Comic-Con most of the time, but I just feel like everybody's there to get everything they ever wanted, the exclusive items, the exclusive merchandise, and then so it drives them to push and shove people in a sense. But the entire time I was at E3, a lot of the people were very respectful of walking.
Yeah, and good vibes, dude. Good vibes.
Yeah, and that's what made it great too. Like when people bumped into me, they were just like, "Oh, I'm so sorry," I apologize. But when you have Comic-Con, they're like pushing and shoving and kicking you down. And I remember like one time somebody like pushed my nephew just to get in line.
Sheesh.
I don't know. I think E3 was really good. I really enjoyed it, and I'm just hoping to see I'll be able to go to it next year.
Yeah,
and
man.
They don't close it off to the public and say, you know what, this was a bad idea for this year. Maybe we'll never do it again.
Yeah. Speaking of, trying to get into the industry and stuff, you remember that middle area, the concourse where we walked around? It just looked like a bunch of meeting rooms and stuff.
Yeah, like it was like guarded by walls.
Yeah.
So
my cousin and I, we walked in there near the end of the second day. Oh, it was after everybody left already. We were just walking around killing time and waiting for traffic to die down. And we walked in there, right?
Yep.
And it was maybe 4 o'clock, so everything was winding down. I think people were done with their meetings and they were just hanging out. And one of those cubicles had clear walls instead of being blocked off, and they showed this demo for this game. It was set in medieval times and it was sword fighting, and it looked super clean. My cousin and I are sitting here watching this, and this guy comes out of nowhere and says, "It looks cool, huh?" I was like, "Oh yeah, man, it does look pretty cool. What's it about?" And he gives us this whole story about how this prince has his family killed because another king let some rebels into the land, or some barbarians, and they offered up the prince's land, so they killed all of his villagers and his family and stuff. And the prince was the only one to survive. You know what I mean? And I go, oh wow, that's crazy. And he's just explaining to us about the game. It's gonna be first person action RPG, almost like Skyrim in a sense. And he was just giving us the ins and outs of it, I go, oh, that's really cool, man. So it's kind of like a revenge story. From what he told us, it is, right? And he goes, well, no, not really, because you're leading an army and you're fighting everybody and you're getting revenge against the king and against the barbarians. It is a revenge story. And I'm sitting here going, really, man? What did you do on this game? Did you draw the hair on people? How do you not know this isn't a revenge game? So I almost said, oh wow, that's cool, man. what company are you guys with? And he told me, and I was like, oh wow, you guys got any people in marketing and stuff? And he like pointed me in their direction, and we started talking to them, and we got some free candy out of it and stuff. So it was pretty funny. And then
free application.
That's what I'm saying, man.
Free recommendations.
and then I got to play Destiny 2, which was great. Shout outs to Russ, by the way, for giving me his reservation that he made on the PlayStation app. But while I was in line, I was talking to this guy about, oh, where should we line up if we have reservations? It's like, oh, I got one too, just stick with me. So I was just hanging out with him, whatever. And we get to talking and stuff, and he says, yeah, man, I'm so lucky I got this, man. I tried at the hotel, I tried over here, blah blah blah. And I was like, oh, that's cool, man. He goes, yeah, man, I mean, you think I work for EA that I would have frontline access, but it's not really like that here. I go, what, you work for EA? And he goes, yeah, man, I work on FIFA. I'm a producer for the Ultimate Team, and it's this online play where you can make
wow
teams. And he's like pointing behind him, and I look behind me and I see this big ass picture of Cristiano Ronaldo and all this stuff, and I go, what the fuck? How am I just standing in line with you, man?
Yeah.
So we get to shooting the shit. I ask him about what he does as a producer, and I tell him about what I do, what I want to do, and all that stuff. And yeah, man, like you said, getting into that industry, just mingling with a lot of professionals was great, man. I mean, I think that was more exciting than actually playing Destiny 2. Was meeting that guy.
yeah, being able to talk with these people. That's what I want to do, is just talk to these professionals who worked on the game.
Mm-hmm.
That way I can get a little insight on how to make the game itself and what their experiences are. And yeah, that sounds pretty cool, being able to talk to the producer. And were you able to actually get an application with him?
Nah, it wasn't like that, man. It wasn't like that. But it was funny. I was making the joke saying, hey, you legit work for EA? They really wouldn't let you play Destiny real quick? He goes, nah, man, I had to struggle like everyone else and get it on the app. So that was funny, man. But he did give me some tips. He said, definitely, figure out what you want to do. He started out in QA and ultimately became a producer. So moving your way up is definitely possible.
Yeah, Tony has a QA position open every single year. So if you want to get onto that too, sign
us up, man. We'll be the producers for Destiny 5. You never know.
Yep. What? You get to ride your spaceship now? Yep, that was all Rick.
Sheesh. But
just shoot from the spaceship.
So super good times. I honestly have a bunch more stuff we should talk about, but I think we'll split this up into two. So we'll have an E3 impressions, kind of part 2 next week. Would you go again though? I think it's safe to say we'd both go again, right?
Oh, absolutely. I think even though I was prepared for this year, I definitely know exactly what to do. That's how I felt with the second day. We knew exactly where to go and what to do, what to expect.
And I think our experience from PlayStation experience helped us out too. I mean, PlayStation experience definitely wasn't as packed as E3. But we kind of got our groove on how to get in the best line to go in and all that stuff. Our experiences from that. So next week, we'll continue this E3 talk. We'll talk more on confirmed releases and how 2017 just might be the greatest year in gaming there ever was, man. Looking at the lineup a little bit, it looks like it's shaping up to be. So that's something we'll go over next time. And then if we have time, also want to talk about esports and whether it's really going to pop off like the industry thinks it will. So that is it for us this week. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for listening. Rick, as always, words of wisdom.
If you're feeling sad in life, always remember a new perfect day destroyed Boo Wop in Pokemon.
Oh, later. Peace. Damn it, and I can't. See?